What's up, Magnetic Men Club? We are back here on another Friday Live with you guys. Today's topic is all about setting boundaries and preserving your energy. Like not being a pushover, stop being a nice guy. Really, what can you do to get what you really want? Because obviously, when it comes down to not setting proper boundaries, you're going to just build resentment at the end of the day. And so we want to talk about how you can avoid that stuff altogether. I'm Chase, my good friend Jared here.
What's up, kids? Chase is obviously. What's the temperature there? I just flew back down to North Carolina, and so New York was actually pretty warm, but North Carolina, it's probably 70 right now, raining. But
we're in the 80s right now. Actually, what's cool today is like it's a lot cooler, man. It's been in the 90s and stuff the last couple of weeks. It's been crazy hot the last couple of weeks down here for sure.
Wow.
It doesn't even feel like winter. I don't think we get winter or anything down here.
You know what? I don't think the East Coast, if guys that are watching us, if you're on the East Coast, obviously he's in Mexico, but
yeah,
man, we haven't had a winter at all. It's been weird. Like
really?
Maybe in New York, maybe a foot the whole winter, and maybe I'm being kind. I don't even think we got that much, but it's been crazy. Talk about setting boundaries. Winter's like setting boundaries, and then all of a sudden it's going to dump all over us because it's been building up and building up. And I'm waiting for like this massive storm. I'm waiting for it because it's going to happen.
Yeah,
but
you got to come down to Cabo before that happens, man, for sure.
Soon. So my girlfriend just got her passport. It took 3 weeks. Normally it takes 12 to 8. She got it in 3 weeks, and she didn't even rush it.
That's awesome.
We'll talk after this because we're going to set up some flights here to come down so we can start doing some of these lives and do some stuff in Cabo too.
We're going to be doing retreats and stuff down here too, guys. Now's the time. It's never been a better time to get into this program than right now. If you guys have any interest in it at all, we're going to be doing some really cool stuff this summer.
Awesome. I can't wait. Can't wait. Now, as far as this boundaries / energy, because it does coincide. How do you as a married man, because it is different. I mean, we're talking about boundaries based on relationships, but they're all relationships. Every person you interact, whether it's your girlfriend, whether it's a boss, your friends, your family, you have to set a boundary with them, because if you don't, hell, even well-intentioned people will run over you. They don't mean it, but if you don't have a good, strong boundary and you're a yes man, which a lot of people are, people pleasers tend to be really good takers, or they're people pleasers generate takers is what I meant to say. And so how do you, for boundaries, maybe you could give us something. You're married, so maybe there's a thing with you and your wife that you guys kind of have.
Like to me, it comes down to every single relationship in your life. Like it comes down to your neighbors and infringing on your property. It comes down to your boss and asking you to stay late or come in another day for the week when you've actually got plans and stuff, or denying your vacation and all that kind of stuff too. Like a lot of it comes down to your wife and like what she kind of expects you to do and what the expectations are within the relationship and the marriage and stuff too. Because obviously, I mean, these guys are give to get, right? They just give, and they just expect that somebody else is going to reciprocate. But they don't even say anything about it. Like they don't even tell them that, like, I like this done. I like it this way. I like it that way. They're just like, if I just please her, if I just try to like make her happy, like, happy wife, happy life. A lot of guys you hear say that stuff too, which is total bullshit. But like, I mean, imagine for a second, right? Like your neighbor wants to remove the fence between your property line because like he just wants a bigger backyard, and his dog keeps going in your yard and shitting in it and all that stuff too. And it's just, nobody wants to live that way, right? But the problem is like people don't respect boundaries unless you set them. They just don't. They don't know where the boundary is. They're going to go all over it, especially if you let them. And so that's the thing. It's like nobody knows what your boundary is. Nobody knows what matters to you or what bothers you or what doesn't. So they're just going to keep going as long as you'll let them keep going. That's why you've got to be kind of assertive to a certain extent. A lot of people are just doormats. They're people pleasers. They're nice guys. They give to get. And at the end of the day, they just end up buried in resentment.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I understand this. So like if you don't have a border, like maybe there's an open border, we'll just say hypothetically between Mexico and the U.S.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe the government, if that's their job, is to protect the border, have strong boundaries, and they let anybody in. Those people coming in aren't respecting
Right.
where they're moving to. They want to be here, but you don't know why they want to be here. And I'm making this a funny thing, but this is what we're all experiencing in real time. And I'm not trying to be political, but we're all experiencing this in real time. 7 million people have crossed the border, and you have no idea where they are, what they're going to do. We're just told they want to work and live the American dream. If you don't have a strong border, if you don't have strong boundaries, then you're basically telling everyone that you're weak. You're telling everyone, hey, just come in, do whatever you want. That's fine. We'll help you as best as you can. As a matter of fact, move in with us. Why not? Just come in and move in with us. And so you're seeing it in the U.S. right now. No other nation in the world has borders like this where you just come in whenever you want. No other nation. And I say this for a point because strong men, what we're trying to develop here, strong mindsets, men that have opinions, men that have thoughts, they're not playing it small. We have to recognize that this is a problem. We all need to start speaking out. We all need to start talking about our own personal boundaries and setting strong frames, setting boundaries, protecting our energy, which I also call not giving away your attention because that is your energy.
Right.
But if you do it on an individual level and each male understands this, when that male gets to a point where he's creating laws or helping doing laws, he's not a weak fuck like we have right now running this country. Weak fucking men and weak fucking people are running this country. And so we have no boundaries. This country has no boundaries. And I'll get off my soapbox now, but when you let into this, I'm like, this is why we have the society we have of weak, woke fucks right now. And they're letting anyone in, and they're doing it for a reason. Don't get me wrong. We're getting off topic, but weak people have very weak boundaries.
Right.
I'll leave it at that.
They're just agreeable. They want to be agreeable. They don't want to face rejection. They don't really want to face any kind of conflict. They'll avoid it like the plague. And it's just like, oh, if I just do this, then there won't be any conflict. But there's going to be resentment at the end of it. There's no doubt. Like, you're going to shatter expectations. Like, you're essentially lying when you say you're going to do something, when you agree to every single thing and then you don't get it done, right? And it's like, that's not a good position to be in, especially if you value integrity. It's going to make you feel like crap. That's where it plays into your energy, right? Like, if you're feeling like crap all day, you don't have the energy to put in to even rise out of your situation. And a lot of the time it's because you overcommit to things. You do things you don't want to do. You're not standing up for yourself. And it's the same thing with the U.S. and people going over the border too. Like, what happens when people invade a country, when they actually get in there and they're not supposed to be there? They start taking everybody's jobs. They start taking everybody's houses and start like basically creating more crime and all that stuff too. A lot of them are on the streets or even dying. And now we got to take care of that. Resources go towards all that stuff. And think about how much those resources multiply for millions and millions and millions of people. It matters to the people that are already in the country because you're taking away from me. It's like somebody comes into my house, right? Like, there's like 3 people just burst into my door. They start eating everything in the fridge, start sleeping on the couch and using all my stuff, breaking everything. It's like, dude, no, that's not okay. It's really not any different than that. It's going to take away from your energy and your resources. And that's why I wanted to kind of frame it in that way, because if you overcommit to things, you're going to be in a state of resentment eventually. You're going to say, okay, well, you know, I'm doing everything for you. I agreed to everything. And it happens in business all the time too. One thing that I had to learn when I actually started my company and stuff too, is you had to set proper expectations up front. Otherwise, people just keep taking. They just look at you like you're another employee in their business. And if you don't sit down and say, hey, you know, I don't work for you. We're working together. We're partnered on this. You need to approach me differently. The problem is if you don't do that up front, you do that later on, they're going to be thrown off. Like, what are you talking about? You told me you would do this. You told me you would do that. And you're not doing it. It causes a lot of friction and it causes a lot of tension. So your effort to avoid the conflict by agreeing everything just created a lot more conflict down the road. And now you've shattered expectations. Now you're ruining your relationships. Now nobody wants to work with you, be around you, whatever, right? And it's just a bad road to be on. And all of it takes is just stop being a doormat, man. You've got to stand up for yourself. And if you do or don't want to do something, you've got to make it known. Like, think about dogs for a second, right? Like, if you provoke a dog, you go up and you poke the dog doesn't know you, like, he's going to show his teeth. Immediately, he's going to show his teeth. You got to learn how to show your teeth. You got to learn, like, hey, this is not okay with me. That goes against my values. It's the same thing, too. Like, imagine going out with your friends, drinking for a night, and you're sober, and you're committed to being sober.
Yeah.
And they keep trying to prod you and poke you, like, dude, just drink. Just one. Come on. You're no fun when you don't drink. You're just kind of an asshole. And it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's my goals, man. If you don't want to hang out with me when I'm sober, then I'm going to go somewhere else and hang out with people that are sober, man. Like, it's just, don't just agree to things if you don't want to agree to things, especially if that's your goal. Because the thing is if you're sober, you've been sober for 30 days, your friends are poking and prodding you, saying you're no fun, and then you drink, you're going to feel like shit the next day. You're going to be completely down in the dumps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to feel shit both ways because you set an expectation for yourself and you were strong up until the point where they started rash. I can't believe you're done drinking. That's it. You're going to be this.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of a sudden, what's going to happen is if you don't have strong frames and a strong boundary and really create a better tribe, get around better people, you're going to end up going back into that because all humans, we're social creatures. No, I don't care what anyone says. I'm better off alone. You're not. They're lying. Everybody, we're hardwired social. So what's going to happen is if this guy didn't create strong boundaries, didn't create new hobbies or new things to do to kind of his downtime isn't exposed in a way, that's part of being the boundary. If you're so busy, I'm at the gym. Hey, I got this new hobby, kickboxing or something. I'm starting to do this where your friends can't have access to you. The friends you want to get away from who are just want you to drink and have a good time and do stupid shit on the weekends and piss your money away. If you're trying to get out of that, yeah, you need to have a strong boundary. That's great. But you need to back it up with massive amounts of action and changing those behaviors that you do so that they don't have access to you. That's the biggest thing is people create strong boundaries and they say it, but they don't change the pattern behind it. And so the access is still there. And they're like, yeah, Jeff, fuck, I am a pussy. I am bored right now. You know what? What if I just go out with the guys? I have this FOMO, fear of missing out right now. They're having a good time. It's not the fact that you're going to get pissed because you're hungover. You just broke a promise you made to yourself by not drinking. That's worse.
And it matters.
It does matter if you're serious. Now, a lot of guys we talk to, they want change. They love watching my YouTube videos. They surf YouTube and they feel really good about getting all this information and they don't do shit with it.
Yep.
But then they want more. So now they also have no strong boundary because they're not creating anything behind it. Like they understand.
Well, they're in it for the high. They want to feel good about themselves right now. And so that's why they go and watch all the motivation content. Like they'll go and pull up those motivation videos from Motivation University, from Ben Lionel Scott, all those guys, and like they'll sit there and watch those videos for hours and get all pumped and hyped and like, yeah, I'm feeling good, I'm motivated, but it fades. It goes away. It just fizzles out. It's like drinking coffee in the morning, right? Like it just eventually by noon it's gonna be gone. It's not gonna be there, and then you're left with whatever you have at that point.
Yeah,
it takes real determination. It takes real commitment, and it takes real discipline. And most people just don't have that kind of resilience and tenacity. And a lot of the time, it's really just your environment's working against you. Like you're just around the wrong people in a lot of cases. Like you're either isolated, or you're not around anybody, or you're talking to people online who just aren't serving you, or you're at work around people who aren't serving you. Maybe your family's not serving you. And that's the thing too, is like you got to get super clear on what your boundaries are. And the only way to do that is to know what matters to you. What exactly is your value system? So do you value integrity? Because if you value integrity, you have to hold yourself to a certain level of integrity, right? Because if you say something and you don't do it, it's going to eat away at you because integrity matters to you. If honesty matters to you and you lie to somebody, it's going to eat away at you because honesty matters to you. And if you set expectations and the relationship that you set those expectations with that person, if that matters to you, and then you shatter those expectations, and then that person's mad at you, you're going to feel like crap, man. And it's not, like I said, it's not hungover, just like Jared said, it's not feeling hungover or anything like that. It's really just the fact that it's going to bother you. It's going to eat away at you. And that's the problem. It's the same thing with no fap, right? The reason why we push no fap is because as soon as you go and jerk off, man, like you're going to feel shame immediately. You're not going to feel like a man. You're not going to feel like you have that testosterone. In fact, it's going to plummet your testosterone levels the second you do it. And at the same time, like how long do you scroll porn sites to even get to that? You know, you're just wasting your dopamine. You're wasting your effort. You're wasting your energy. And you just feel like crap at the end of the day. It's just like drinking all night and binging and all that stuff too. Binge eating throughout the week. You're just going to feel like crap at the end of it. And so you've got to get to a certain point where you're in charge of it. Like you can frame it that way. Like if I do this, it's going to make me feel like crap. I need to do something else. In order to do that, you've got to be around other people who are doing those things. If you're not around people who are doing those things, that's the key to everything. I'll tell you right now, like that's the number one key. If you can't find a group of men who are on the same mission as you, which is what you'll find inside this group here, that's why we even do what we do. My goal for this, when I first did this, when I first got into this program, was to create a brotherhood. I wanted other men on a mission. I wanted other people who were driven, who want to move forward, who want more out of life, who want to live the same life that I'm living here in Cabo and stuff too. If you watch my content, that's what you're going to see. Me at the gym, me hanging out at the beach, me doing all the lifestyle stuff. If you guys really want to build a better lifestyle where you're making the money and not having to do all the work and you're living true to your values and you're overcoming your belief system, you're just not going to do it without a blueprint. If you don't have a blueprint in front of you, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And that's why I read the books that I did. I read Unplugged Alpha. I read Way of the Superior Man. I read No More Mr. Nice Guy. I read Iron John. And I really started to discover, okay, I know what men need. I know what I need. I know what I was lacking back then too. And I started to think, okay, well, what can I do? First step was brotherhood, man. That's the first step. You've got to get around people who have been there, done that, have experience, can lay it out for you, answer your questions really quickly, and cheer you the fuck on when you actually do good. It makes a massive difference.
Yeah, you do. You need to get around. I 100% agree. You have to get around like-minded people. What would be off the top of your head if a man is watching this video right now or will be watching it and he's struggling with boundaries? He's struggling with the first question is, okay, what are my boundaries?
Yeah.
Really what he's saying. Okay, first, I don't even know what I value, then a boundary around it. Be a good book or a good source for this man to dip his toe in. And when I ask you this, I don't want you guys to keep surfacing and reading book after book. You start with the book and then you fucking implement what the book tells you to do. Yes. This is where my problem is with coaching. Now, I've been a coach for a while, and some of the people that I coach, they just really just give me money. I tell them what to do. We come up with the plan and they don't do shit. And it doesn't really upset. It used to upset me, but now it's like, hey, dude, like you're only wasting your money. You're not really wasting my time because I really care about you. I love you as a brother. But if you're not going to do the work, then we're all mentally masturbating each other right now. So what is a good book or website maybe you have would recommend a guy who's struggling, and what's the first step? What's the first book you say you need to buy this right now?
So if I were starting over and I'm just trying to get into like what it means to be a man, being initiated into manhood, finding a brotherhood, that kind of stuff, if that interests you, Iron John is number one. First book you should read is Iron John. Like that's exactly where to get started. It's a little poetic. It's definitely written by a poet, but he truly understands what it means to be a man. And he uses stories from the past to really talk about it. And he talks about why he uses stories from the past to really illustrate that stuff too. So that's, I think, first and foremost where you should start. If you're feeling like a doormat, if you're feeling like people are walking all over you, you feel like you're putting in more effort than you're getting back. If you're feeling frustrated because of that, you're feeling pissed off that the people in your life just don't care as much as you do about them, right? You're feeling like you're agreeable, you're avoiding conflict, you don't want to do that stuff. Dude, you need to read No More Mr. Nice Guy. First and foremost, no more Mr. Nice Guy is going to really help you pull out of that. I would avoid Unplugged Alpha because that book is going to piss you off to no end the second you start reading that one.
Yeah.
I would maybe read that.
And that's really more of a book.
But outside of that,
and that's different.
That stuff is based on Rational Male, right? So the Rational Male is going to lay out like a lot of how to build your frame, how you should act and react to things as a man, how to carry yourself as a man. Yeah. It's the same thing with Way of the Superior Man and that kind of stuff too. So it really depends on where you're starting out. But for the topic for today, for boundaries, if you're going to set boundaries, the first book you need to start with is No More Mr. Nice Guy. For sure.
Yep. Okay. I would agree with that. And I would think the other ones that you mentioned, they're great books, but we want you to crawl before you walk. And some of those books, now you get into red pill stuff. And we don't really want to get into that right now. We want to get into first, what are your values? Take women out of this. What do you value? Like Chase said, what pisses you off? What frustrates you? Now, it might be females. You might go out on dates, and you might be the type of guy where I'm coaching a guy right now, and he'll get to the second, maybe the third date, and then like clockwork, she'll call or text and say, I think we should be friends.
Right.
My friend, he has a boundary problem because he's giving and giving and giving, and he's almost kind of like, I've watched his texts, I've seen him. His energy, you can feel it that he wants a girlfriend so bad, and it's kind of like put in any girl in that category.
Yeah. That's
women can feel that. Women can feel that, like, dude, like anybody will feel this shit.
I've seen that with a lot of different guys. Like, one big thing that I see is a lot of these guys think that like they start lowering their standards because like they can't. First things first, they have a problem approaching girls. Like, they just don't know how to approach them. They're scared of the approach. One thing that'll help you a lot with that is sales. Like, just get into sales, man. You'll start getting into approach. Start taking cold showers. Start doing cold plunges. You got to build that discipline up. You got to start building those calluses and that discipline. And that's what's going to make you want to approach more girls. Like, the only way you will get confident to approach girls is by approaching 1,000 girls and getting rejected and dealing with that, right? From there, it's like once you're over the fear of the rejection, and you've really built up that callus and you're confident in your approach now, well, now you need to learn how to talk to them. Like, now you need to learn how to carry the conversation and be authentic. I'm not saying go and find scripts, because scripts are not going to help you here. You have to be authentic. If you're not authentic, you're going to come off as insincere. They're not going to give you the time of day. So one of the best things that I did was I read The Game. I would be careful with the PUA content, that kind of stuff, pickup artist things. I mean, I'm not saying none of it works. Some of it does, and it'll help you carry the conversation forward. But I wouldn't put too much stock in it. What I would go do is pick up Robert Greene's books. I would go start reading The Laws of Seduction. Like, that's the #1 book that you could read for dating and getting that charisma and building that stuff up. Yeah. He talks about it from a psychological perspective, and it really makes a lot of sense. And the same thing with the 48 Laws of Power. You'll start to really understand how to master people and how to get what you want from people without manipulation, by doing it just by being better at what you do. That's what those books are all about. You've got to build up a certain amount of charisma. You've got to be fun. You've got to be able to just talk without a script. Like, do you think I use a script for any of these videos? No. Dude, I've done this so many times now. It just flows. I just go and consume a little bit of content beforehand, and then I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know what my topics are. I can just peek at my notes here really quick, and I can just keep talking about it. I coach full time. It's what I do. So we conduct these calls all the time. And we're here to create structured content for you. I mean, I've made $1 million from my Facebook profile probably in the last 4 years. In 4 years, I've made about $1 million just posting on Facebook. And that's stuff that we teach in our program. And so if you really want to build a side hustle and all that stuff too, we can teach you how to do this. But I'll tell you right now, you're not going to get very far in this unless you first get around other people who are doing it and start setting clear boundaries for yourself. But that's going to take really getting clear on what matters to you most. What is your value system? Is it integrity? Is it honesty? Is it being true to your hobbies and stuff like that too? Do you even have any hobbies? Like, are you into cars? Are you into fishing? Do you like going hiking? Are you into outdoors, camping, that kind of stuff? What do you like doing? Do you even know? Have you tried any of that stuff? Like, this is all stuff that matters that you've really got to nail down.
Yeah. You have, so that's I like all of that, and that's a good starting point, I think, for all men, but really younger men, because we do serve a big audience. And our algorithm, guys, is I just noticed we tip into the 25 to 35, but then we're 35 to 45, and then it's 45 to 55. So a lot of men reach or interested in it at different topics. And so boundaries is more of a young man's thing. If you don't develop strong boundaries and protect your energy, and we're going to talk about energy, which I like to call it attention. If you don't learn how to protect that early on,
it's focus and attention. It really is. Like that's
focus and attention.
Yeah.
What you're going to be is a 35, 45, 55-year-old version of yourself who's doing the exact same thing and wondering where my life went. And this is what I coach a lot. Like I said, guys that are not even lately, it's not even guys going through a divorce, guys that they're addicted to porn. They're addicted to masturbation. They're addicted to dating, like just bottom of the barrel, what I call barflies. They'll just date whoever, hopefully to get their dick wet. They're addicted to this lifestyle that they know doesn't serve them.
Yeah.
They're literally just trying.
They're stuck. They can't get out of it.
They're running away. And I don't want to say they don't have strong boundaries, because clearly they don't, but their attention, they're in a loop. What I call is they're in this loop, okay? And it's like the idea of a proper apology. They're not even apologizing to themselves because they keep doing the same thing. So what's happening is they wake up, they might go to work. Hopefully they at least have that going on. They have a routine of sorts. So that's the positive. They understand a routine because they have one. At least they go to a job.
Yeah.
And it might not be a great job, but at least they're consistent. So when people say, I can't go to the gym or I can't do this, I'm like, well, you can go to a job 8 hours. Well, I get paid. That's irrelevant. You're consistently going there. So you have the ability to be consistent. Forget the money. You have the ability to get consistent. And yeah, you can say it because I need to get paid, Jared. Well, yeah, we all need to eat. So consistency does help that. So you can use that. So 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock goes around, and then they have a drink, or they might hang out with their buddies and have a drink, and they go home and they watch porn and they jack off. 9, 10 o'clock, they might have gotten paid that day. They get a hooker. And I'm not saying this, guys, this is weird. This is a lot of the time, lot of the time of the people I coach. And so they wake up again the next day. They feel bad. They're like, fuck, I just did it again. And then they do it again. And then they do it again. They might go for a couple of days because they don't have money, so they can't go out. They might go for a couple of days because they found one girl that they've been talking to, and then they feel like, oh, shit, this is the one. She's this one right here. Like, I don't even feel like
lower their standards. They start going after fat chicks. They start going after chicks with kids. That kind of stuff.
No. What they're doing is they're taking their attention. They're focusing all on her. So now they're thinking, oh, I don't need more.
Yes.
What they're not realizing in that second, like, take your attention off of putting your hands on yourself. Take the attention off the porn. Take your attention off drinking. Focus that attention, that energy on something that's positive. Now, I understand, Jared, that sounds great, but I feel like I'm addicted to this. You are. But you have one thing that you can do right away. Very simple. Very simple. I understand you have to work. I get it. We all have to work. When you get home, don't go home. Get a bag. Throw gym clothes in it. You have to start breaking up your routine. So, I'm driving home. No, I'm going to go to the gym. And I don't care, dude, if you go for 5 minutes starting off just to walk in and walk out. I don't give a fuck. You broke that routine. This is how you rebuild in your life, rebuild those connections where you're like, okay, I'm not going to go meet Jim at the fucking bar again and have a Pabst Blue Ribbon and talk about high school again like I did yesterday. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go for 10 minutes. Great. You're retaking that energy. We all have a certain amount of energy during the day. You're just carving it up. And then you're going to go home and I'm going to make something instead of go to Burger King. I'm going to actually make something. I'm going to get some rice, get something basic and make it. Take your energy and learn how to cook for yourself. Guys don't know how to take care of themselves. They don't.
Right.
Guys, old guys, they know the basics, but what happens is they're looking for now another mother figure. And I'm saying this out of love, guys, because I'm coaching a lot of people that go through a divorce and they try to find somebody to replace her, but not out of love, out of like, I need somebody to do my clothes. I need somebody to do this. You got to learn how to do this stuff yourself. So take all of this unused energy that you're using on porn and you're using on masturbation and drinking and all this, and just start little by little every week. Add one more thing to take your attention and divert it to something positive in your life.
Think about freedom for a second, independence. If you're not independent, you are not free. And so what that means is if you're dependent on somebody else to do your laundry, if you're dependent on somebody else to do all your cooking, you're dependent on somebody else to fulfill all of your needs, everything you need, right? You're not free. You're not really free, and you can never be free. You're always going to need that person. You'll do whatever it takes to keep that person around, even if it means letting them step over your boundaries, even if it means like shattering expectations, even if it means trying to avoid conflict with that person altogether because you're just trying to keep them happy so they stay, so they keep doing the things for you because you need them to do those things. That's just with people, right? Like the same thing for your job. Like you'll agree to do things for your boss for your job because you're scared that you won't find another job that's as good as that. And so you're like, oh, I got to pay my bills. I guess I just got to come in on Saturday. I guess I just have to come in tonight. You have to be okay by yourself. And you have to believe that you will be okay no matter what decisions that you make. Because here's the thing. If you're scared to lose somebody, you're not free. You're dependent on that person. Like you have to be able to let people go. You have to be able to let the job go, be fired, quit, whatever, go find a new job. You have to have an abundance mindset about this stuff because if you don't, you're stuck. Like you're trapped. You can't get out of it. And the reality is yes, it's scary. And yes, it's uncomfortable. And that's why this takes discipline and courage. You have to have courage to let things go. You have to have courage to let people go. That's what all this stuff comes down to. And you have to tell yourself that, like, no matter what happens, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to navigate this. It's cool. It's not about trying to control everything that happens to you. It's about trying to control yourself so that no matter what happens to you, you will figure it out. You'll be fine. And you always have that confidence in yourself that you will figure it out. It doesn't matter what happens. Dude, there could be an apocalypse outside. I will figure out how to provide for my family. I will figure out how to get us somewhere safe. It doesn't matter what happens. I don't care what happens. I don't care if they start coming in here with guns and start firing, man. I'm going to pick up my guns and I'm going to go make sure that I'm protecting my own. Even if it kills me, man, I don't care. That's really what it's all down. That's what it means to be a man. Like, that's really what it means at the end of the day. But a lot of this stuff is dependent stuff too. So like, think about the people who are dependent on you in the first place, but then also think about the substances that you're dependent on. Like, are you smoking weed every day? Like, when the weed runs out, do you get irritable? And then, like, cigarettes, alcohol, video games, jerking off, porn, Facebook, TikTok, it's all the same shit, man. It's all just drugs. And like, if you can't sit down and overcome the urge to open those apps, to do the drugs, to do whatever, if you can't have the discipline and respect enough for yourself to do that, because a lot of this comes down to self-respect. If you don't respect yourself, you'll do that shit all day. All day. You'll go drink. It doesn't matter. I don't respect myself. I don't care how I feel. I don't care how I'm ruining my body and how unhealthy it is. Same thing with weed. I don't care that it makes me lazy and makes me sit around and do nothing. It's self-respect, man. You're just not respecting yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, nobody else is going to respect you either. The amount of respect that you give yourself is the amount of respect that you're going to get from everybody else. And the same thing too with the amount of respect that you give to everybody else too. It all matters. It's not just stuff that we're writing up. But I'll tell you right now, if you want ultimate freedom and you're smoking weed and you're drinking alcohol, you have no self-respect. You just don't respect yourself enough to get yourself up and get to your goals. You just don't. Yeah. And a lot of that might not be your fault to a certain extent. I mean, everything is within your power to change. You can't point outwards and say it's anybody else's fault. You got to point inwards and say, okay, what the hell do I need to do to get myself out of this situation, to crawl out of this hole? Like I said, first step for me was finding a brotherhood. That's the thing that made the most difference for me. I was getting around other people who weren't drinking, who weren't smoking, who were driven towards making profits every month, who were just doing bigger things that I had never considered. The thing is, too, is being here in Cabo has changed a lot for me, too. I can't go get a job here. I can't just simply go and work for somebody else here. I wouldn't make enough, first of all, because it costs a lot to live here when you're an expat. But at the end of the day, I have to make my money from the U.S. I have to make it online. I have to figure it out. That's why I use my profile funnel for that stuff. It works. It just brings in money. If I need money, I go make an offer. People pay me. And it just, do you think I had that mindset 5 years ago, though, when I was sitting in a cubicle at the IRS? No, I didn't.
Right.
Not at all. I'm sitting in this cubicle thinking, how in the hell do people get clients? How do they charge $2,000? That's way too much money. And then I realized, okay, I've got limiting beliefs around money, first of all, because I think that, $2,000 is a lot of money. I got to overcome that, first of all, because I remember back when I first got started in this, $50. So you couldn't get me to spend $50 a month on anything. Yeah. And then it got to a point over 4 years where I spent $100,000 on coaching, and it made a massive difference. And they got me around the right people. I would go to a retreat or I would go to a mastermind, and I would come home and make $50,000 in 2 weeks. Yeah. And so there's a different life out there that you haven't considered. That's the whole point. If you want to consider it and you want to know how to get there, the key is to find somebody who's there and ask them how they do it. Spend time with them, make friends with them. That's all it is.
What about talk to me a little bit about, because I was just thinking as you were talking, and we're talking about boundaries for ourselves. Okay. But then there's boundaries for others.
Right.
And I just started thinking, what would be, I want your thoughts on, there's a guy out there. I don't know who he is. He might be watching this now. He might not be, but it'll get to him. And he's not having good luck in his life. He's not really great at dating. He's got an okay job. He's your basic guy. He's your basic dude. Okay. Other people don't know he doesn't have boundaries because he's not really a pushover, but because he's not doing well in life, people that have stronger boundaries keep him at distance because they're unsure about him. So I think it goes both ways. And I want to hear more on what you think about it. So I'm envisioning a guy who's going out, talking to a girl, first date went well, second date went well. You can tell he's being a little bit needy, but because she has strong boundaries in the beginning, her spidey senses are picking up okay, this guy's going to be a clinger. I can tell. I just want to be friends. Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about that, more in business and in maybe some of your personal, because you deal with a lot more multimillionaires being in Cabo than I do in fucking Syracuse, New York. But I've noticed very successful people, and it doesn't have to be money. I noticed this guys who can date women, any kind of woman they want, guys who have the ability to create large amounts of funds for other people. They all have very strong boundaries, and it's based on that word no. They know not what they know what they can't do, and they double down on what they can do. Can you talk a little bit more about that on the external side?
I mean, yeah. From all this comes down to overthought. So people who are people pleasers, people who are agreeable, people who avoid conflict, nice guys, all that kind of stuff, pushovers, doormats, whatever you want to call it, that they usually are overthinking and projecting out their insecurities. They are insecure because they are not happy with who they are. So they're basically, they're insecure about their weight, they're insecure about their height, they're insecure about their dick size, whatever it is, man. Like they're insecure about something, even their hair loss and that kind of stuff too. There's so many things that guys overthink and get insecure about, but then they think that everybody else is judging them on that too. Women do this much worse, like tenfold more, right? It's way worse for women, but men do this too. But when you're insecure, it comes down to, like I said, like if you're jerking off, obviously you think that you're not a high value man. Like you're sitting here jerking off looking at porn. Like obviously you're not positioning yourself in your head as a high value man. You're sitting around playing video games all day when you know you probably could be doing something more productive. It's not making you happy. That's making you insecure. You're letting your hair grow out. You're not getting a haircut. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not showering. You stink, all that kind of stuff. People avoid you because of that. That's going to make you insecure. And so, like, that's the point, is like you feel insecure because you're not taking care of the things that you know you should take care of. And so you're overthinking that. Like you're projecting that out onto everybody else. And so now you're trying to overwork yourself to try and correct the situation because you're projecting that into her. Like she's probably thinking this, that, and you're overanalyzing her and her responses. Like you're sitting here saying, okay, maybe if I say that, maybe if I just say this or do this, and then so you're trying too hard, you're not being authentic. And at that point, like you're a red flag for her. Like, yeah, this guy's going to be clingy. He's trying way too hard. This is not going to be a good relationship. And so she avoids you. And the thing is she might have liked you at the beginning of this. And you completely ruined it by over talking, by overthinking, by not being yourself, and by not being authentic. So now she thinks she can't trust you. And this is all happening inside of our head. It's not something that happens. Like it's not surface level stuff. Like it's happening deep inside of our brains. And you're always analyzing people this way, whether you like it or not. They're analyzing you. And at the same time, most of the time, they care about them and how they are being perceived. Yeah. This is the problem, is people never really flip this around and say like, okay, you look great. You're cool. Look at that guy. That guy over there is awesome. I don't know. I'm going to avoid that guy. And we're always sitting here making all these judgment calls on everybody that we see. But we're always outwards, right? Nobody's thinking about you. Nobody cares about you. Nobody sees that pimple on your face. Like nobody gives a shit what you're going through. They care about themselves, just like you do. And you're sitting here doing the same thing. Right. So the key is focus on you and what you want and being authentic to you, and don't overthink it. Just talk about things you like and just talk about what you want to talk about. And if they're not interested in that conversation, leave. Go somewhere else where somebody is interested. Don't try to make it all match. Like stop trying to fit squares into round holes, man. Like there's no reason to do that. Just go where you fit in. Go to the freaking square hole, right? And so that's the biggest thing, is like what aligns with you. The only way you can know that is by actually sitting down and getting clear on what matters to you. First and foremost, what do you want? Why do you want it? What kind of lifestyle do you want to be living? What values do you need to embody to get you there? What activities and habits do you need to change to get you there? What's holding you back? What beliefs do you have? It's just work. You got to sit down and lay all this stuff out. You've got to journal. You've got to say what you're grateful for, that kind of stuff. It's a whole layered process that takes time to put together. But once you do it, that's your blueprint. Now you have a blueprint for your life. Now you can approach every single situation with a ton more confidence. And so that's what this kind of program is all about. That's what you would get if you came through here. Like the first thing is what do you want? Where do you want to be? Why do you want it? What matters to you? What's holding you back? And then we start to build that out, and you just become that character who can push your way through this. One big thing too is it happens in business too. Like where we will sit down and set expectations on the front end and say, okay, we're going to do this, and this. You send them the contract, they sign the contract. 1 week in. Well, hey, like can you guys do this? Can you guys, so you basically sell a website, for instance, right? And they go, oh, well, can you make me a logo? Oh, can you do my branding kit? Can you put all this other stuff? Oh, can you do the SEO on this too? When it wasn't in the contract. And you're like, and you're like trying to like, oh, I want to keep them. I want to make sure they make their next payment. So yeah, sure. I'll make you a logo. Yeah, sure. Right. I'll get you a branding kit. Yeah, sure. We'll do all your SEO. And you're overcommitting yourself because people just don't have that kind of time on their hands. And so the biggest thing is understanding that you only have so much time. And if you want to preserve your energy and you want to keep being happy and you want to keep your customers happy or your boss is happy or your wife happy or your girlfriend happy, it's all the same shit. You've got to be able to stand up for yourself and stand up for your boundaries. Like, dude, like that's not realistic for me to do. Let me do the job that we agreed to, and then we'll circle back to that. And then I'll, maybe you can pay me some extra money and I'll get that done for you. Or maybe I can find somebody to do that for you. That's what it all comes down to. Don't just commit to things just to avoid conflict or just to try and keep people in your life. Have the courage to let go.
Right. And that's kind of where I was getting at, and you answered it. Think about, guys, if you don't understand the concept of boundaries, that you just nailed it. You have a contract. Chase used to do this, and I used to talk to you about this years ago. I'm like, dude, it's not in the fucking contract. Why are you doing this for this guy? Like, fuck him. Like, he wants you to do this. Fuck him. Have him pay you. And so you got more and more into that. And as you got more into more with other influencers, you started realizing, yeah, fuck that. It's the same. If you take that business approach, could be a girl that you're dating, could be maybe a boss who's overly using you because you have no boundaries. Think about that in that business sense. Like, okay, you want me to do X, but that's not what we talked about. I want to be your girlfriend. You want to be my boyfriend. We're courting each other. Great. Okay. Can I borrow money for rent? My rent's really, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just using this as an example, guys, and you give her money. What did you just teach her? That you don't have any boundaries. That just taught you. Now, on the business sense, what if your boss says, hey, can I borrow $500? My rent's, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. You're going to tell him to fuck off. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Think about it that way. Sometimes this helps if you reframe what you're going through now on a personal level and make it about business, because it still is about business.
It's all relationships. Like everything.
It is all relationships. And what you want to do is you want to collapse that time. This is where I talk about investing in people who invest in you. Chase invests in me, so I invest in Chase and Kim, his wife. Jared, another influencer, he does the personal, more personal development, a little bit different than I do. He invests in us, so we invest in him.
Kind of stuff,
yeah. The people who enter into my $7 a month. I mean, goddamn, at the end of the month it's going up, but the $7 a month, they still showed me they're investing in me for just a little bit of money. If you look at the people that are in my school platform, I'm already coaching them on what I normally charge $5,000, but it's through texting. I'm over investing in them because they shown me that they're willing to invest in me. That's all boundaries are. Like, there's an invisible fence between me and Chase. If Chase keeps taking shit from my side and not giving it back, or not let me borrow some shit from his side, then there's going to be a problem real soon, because there's that understanding. We have that boundary. Right. Like, listen, dude, what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine, but not what is yours you're going to keep and then keep taking from mine. So you have to understand that on a business sense, transforming.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Even for nice guy syndrome too. Like that's the biggest thing when you're a nice guy. Like you're over giving and you're not getting anything back. Yeah.
Well, you're over giving on hope. And hope means fucking nothing anymore. You can't hope that she's going to reciprocate and go on another date with you, or hope that she gives you sex, or hope that she gives you a relationship or agrees with you on this. So boundaries are just that. And the good way to do that is not wasting your time, energy. You want to be as efficient as possible with your friends. If your friends are not equally exchanging value with you in some portion, maybe I have a multi-million-dollar friend and I can't compete with him on money, but I can help him understand a problem that he doesn't get. That's an even exchange, because he doesn't care about the money. He's already made it. What he cares about is the information that he doesn't have. He might pay me because I need the money. That's an even exchange. If you're always over giving on any relationship, it's an unbalanced exchange. This is why you feel frustrated. This is why you feel that anxiety, maybe a little depression at the end of the day. Maybe you feel empty because you're giving and giving, and your own emotional piggy bank is on empty. And you're like, fuck, who's going to fill me up? You got to fill yourself up. And the best way you can do that is collapse your time. Pull that energy away from those people who are just taking from you.
See, I usually see from like one that like the thing you should do is pull away and remove yourself and have
Yeah.
the courage to let go. But what I see a lot of these guys do is lash out. They immediately start lashing out. They immediately start getting mad. They immediately start blaming this person. Like, if you wouldn't do this, or if you would do more of this, then I would. And like, that's the big. Like, they're just pointing outwards. If the government this, and if that tax that, and if the interest rate this, and like, and then if you were home more, like they just start pointing outwards, and it's just like everything is outwards, and it's like you got to realize that you're grasping at straws here. You're pounding on a fault line. Like, nobody's responsible for you. You're responsible for you.
Right.
And if you can't take ownership and take that responsibility, you're never going to rise out of that situation. And at the same time, people are just going to abandon you. They're not going to put up with that crap for too long, because that's the thing, is they call it nice guy syndrome. These guys are dicks. They're complete assholes. They are freaking liars, man. That's the problem. Is like, that's what you end up being, and that's how you position yourself. Like, you're just lying. Like, you're not even living up to what you could live up to, and you're lying to yourself most of all. Because here's the thing: like, you go to your girlfriend's house and you wash her car. She didn't ask you to do that, but you just go wash her car just to do something nice. Take her the flowers upstairs. Like, you got breakfast and everything ready for her, and you're gonna take her kids out to the baseball game, and just for no reason at all. Just like, I'm just trying to make her happy. And then you get home and she's tired and she wants to go to bed. She doesn't want to have sex, and you're immediately like, what the fuck? I just did all this shit today for you. So, they're not nice guys.
Yeah. Well, on the same token, that's a perfect example of that boundary. If she was asking for all of that and you said yes, well, who can you blame? You. Again, it's that thing. There's that invisible fence between you and her, me and Chase, me and Kim, me and my girlfriend, me and my kids, even your own kids. You can't let somebody walk all over you. Now, there might be a situation where somebody needs to lean on you a little bit more, and maybe it's like, fuck, but more times than not, it's an equal exchange. So that's okay. Sometimes you have a friend that really needs you, and maybe they're being a little, they broke up with their girlfriend or something like that. Maybe they're going through a divorce and they're overly calling you, and you're like, fuck, that's not a weak boundary. That's being a good friend. But on the same token, if you don't let this guy know, says, hey, listen, love talking to you, Tim. After 10 o'clock, I got to go to bed. I got to get with the kids, create that boundary and make sure he abides by it or she abides by it.
Right.
And if you can do this, guys, this is how much better all of your relationships will be, because they're efficient relationships.
Yep.
That person knows, okay, don't fuck with him on this, or he's not the type of guy that's going to do this, so I'm not going to ask him. Why would I? That's disrespectful, because I already know.
Here's the thing. It's just like when you provoke a dog and it shows its teeth and it barks. It's like, you're not doing this. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
You don't cross that boundary. You have to stand up for it. You got to bite back. You got to be like, you got to show them your teeth. Like, you immediately got to show them your teeth. Like, hey, no, this is not happening. We're not doing this. That's against my boundaries. Like, let's say your girl wants to go out and hang out with her guy friends. Mm-hmm. What are you going to say? Are you okay with that? Are you not okay with that? Have you thought about it? Is it part of your boundaries? That's stuff you got to get clear on and say, okay, no, I don't like you hanging out with guys. Honestly, I'm not trying to control you, but I'm telling you right now, like, if you want to go hang out with guys, that's cool. I won't be here when you get back.
Right.
That's
pack your shit.
We're done.
You might as well grab your shit now.
You got to have courage, man. That's the thing, is you got to say, okay, that's what's happening. I'm not giving you an ultimatum. It's just like, I'm just not going to stay here.
That's a really good way to explain it, is when you draw the line on something. This is why I tell guys for breaking up. One of the best ways to keep a relationship in that sense is, if she knows you have the ability to walk away and mean it, it keeps a lot of them like, fuck, I don't want to fuck with this guy.
Yeah.
The same thing with all other boundaries. If you have a situation where you keep saying yes and yes and yes, well, everybody who knows that is going to keep walking all over you because you have no frame.
Right.
But if you start developing that frame, what are they going to say? Oh, he's a dick. Fuck them. Those are the people you need to get out of your.
People like mutual respect, and so if you have respect for yourself and you come back by like, no, we don't do that. sorry, that's not going to happen. Like
Right.
maybe I can charge you more later. Like if it's business, if it's a relationship, hey, if you go do that, I'm not going to be here. That's just, I'm not going to stick around. It's just not going to happen. I'm on my path, my purpose. I'll be fine without you. It's fine.
Right.
Not that I don't love you. It's not that I don't like you. It's just the fact that like I will be fine without you. It's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you do what you want, man. Like I'm not telling you what you can and can't do. I'm not here to be a slave driver or anything like that. That's not what this is about. This is about me living the life that I want to live, true to my values. And if you cross my values or you're in the way, then you got to go, or I got to go, or whatever happens. Just remove yourself from the situation. And that's the biggest thing is people respect that. Like when the dog shows its teeth, do you think somebody keeps provoking the dog? No, they're like, oh shit, dude, sorry. Okay, no, I'm gonna go over here. It's fine. People act the same way when you show your teeth, man. Like, oh, cool. No, I got it. I just thought I would ask. That's all. And that keeps the relationship good. Like people are always thinking like, oh, I just want to make sure they pay me again. I want to make sure they stay. I want to make sure they don't go anywhere. And they start overthinking it because they're insecure. And you're insecure because you're not working on yourself. And if you're not working on yourself, you're going to be insecure. You're not going to like how you look. You're not going to like what you're doing. You're not going to feel like you're moving forward. And when you feel that way, you're not going to protect your boundaries. You don't even know what's important to you. You haven't sat down and figured it out. But once you do, and you start protecting those boundaries and you start showing those teeth, people show you more respect and they respect you more. Like actually, that's the thing too, is like the relationships end up being so much better. They end up being so much more fulfilling because the thing is everybody's on the same page. Okay, I know, like I have a compass for hanging out with you now. Like I know where you will show your teeth. And the thing is too, is maybe they don't know. Like nobody knows what your boundaries are. It's not like it's like a freaking sign above your head. Like they don't know. So when they come in and they do something against your boundaries, well, maybe somebody else lets them do that all the time. Like, well, they thought it was okay. And then you showed your teeth like, okay, well, I want to ask you then. Like, that's cool. And they're cool. They're not mad. They're just like, okay, I just thought.
Well, who cares if they are? I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I'll leave with the final thing. This just happened this week. I guess we'll call him friend. I mean, high school friend. We interact once in a blue moon. The dude's got no fucking hair. Now, one of my companies is Scalp International Hairlines, where I help men and women regain or feel more confident giving them a look. We won't get into that part on this, but literally the dude's hair is way up here, okay? And he's getting married for the second time in, I don't know, September, and he wants to look great for his fat fucking new wife. Great, God bless him. Calls me. He's like, hey, man, I want to get SMP. I'm like, great. I'm going to North Carolina this weekend. Maybe we can start next weekend. Hook a boy up. How much? I said, well, I've seen your head. I know what you look like. It's going to be this much. He goes, oh, man, you got to give me a better deal. I'm like, why? Because we're boys. And I just silent, I'm really good at like, why? Well, we've known each other forever. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. When's the last time you called me for any other reason other than because you want something from me? Well, I haven't. I said, well, then our relationship as friends is one thing, but this is business. It's this much. Love to help you. I already gave you a discount because normally it's this much. And so I held my frame and I said, this is how much it is. He's like, no, I can't afford that, man. I said, no problem. Good luck on your wedding day, And that was the end of it. And 3 of my other friends from high school all messaged me like, dude, you can't help him out. This is why I got rid of all of them. Like, you guys are all in your same little bullshit thing. Like, you're telling me how to run my fucking company when, what you guys could chip in. You guys could all chip in and help them get
like, what's in it for me? Well,
right.
Why should I give you a discount? You know how many years I spent learning how to do this, getting good at it, building this business, like making something out of myself, and it's like you can't pay me full price. Are we really friends? Like that's really, I'm supposed to give you a discount because we're friends. Like if we're friends, you should pay me full price.
It's the whole point. My friend, the first person I'm going to call, and whatever he charges, I'm not going to argue with you. Cool. I know you'll do more for me because you're my friend, but I'm not going to fucking discount that doesn't work that way. And so, so that was a little thing that happened this week. I'm like, I can't believe you guys out of everyone calls me to tell me what I'm doing wrong in my company. I said, you guys don't pay my bills.
Well, I mean, there's that stuff, and then there's the coaching stuff too. With like a lot of the sales calls that I take for coaching and stuff too. A lot of guys try and haggle it down. They do like I don't have that much money. Like, and it's like, okay, that's great. Like, I can't help you then. Like right now, the problem that I have with you wanting a discount on this is the fact that you're asking me to be more invested in you than you are. And if that's the case, then I can't help you. You're not going to try hard enough. Like, you're just not. Everybody who have ever given something for free did not value it, did not do it. You know how many courses I've given people for free access to? And
look at our
analytics on the back end, dude. Like, they don't. Nobody goes. Not a single freaking person goes through it for free because they're not invested. And so if you want to invest in yourself, that's when you're really going to get farther, because the best investment that you can make is in yourself. And if you can't invest in yourself, you're just not going to get very far. Like, you're just not going to get started. You're not going to take it that seriously. You're not going to put in the work. So the first thing that I ask anybody for is that investment. If you want me to be invested in you, you need to be invested in you first. Like, invest in this program and get the information that you need, get the help that you need, and get that support, get that brotherhood in place so that you can make it farther. And that will make you more money by default. Problem is, if you don't invest, you're not going to take it that seriously. You're not going to get the results. And we're wasting both of our time here, which means that you're disrespecting my time. And right now you're asking me to be more invested in you than you are. How does that make any sense?
So it happens. And that's what you're doing when you don't have strong boundaries. You're over investing in somebody else. You're giving them more value, and they haven't earned it yet.
Exactly.
So I think that's a good a good segue to end this live, because there are guys in our school community. We're going to put the link down below. $7 a month. And this is going to be probably to the end of the month. So I don't know. We got a couple more weeks.
Yep.
I already have a 15-hour video course laid out. And if you can go through this course and dissect it and take bit by bit and start implementing it, you're going to have the strongest fucking frame out there. You're going to outframe everybody, because that's what, and frame is boundary. You just take that course and do it for $7.
Yep.
Versus paying me to tell you exactly how to do it for $5,000. You better pay the $7 a month thing. And that's just one course. There's probably 5 or 6 other courses we developed in there. All the writings that we do that are specific to school. You're not going to find them on Facebook. You're not going to find them anywhere else. And here's the other thing, guys. You can DM both of us directly. If you have a business question, he'll get back. Chase will be like, hey, what do you want to do?
No doubt.
We can help you do it. If you have more of a question specific to your circumstance, to a degree, again, I'm going to have a very strong boundary. I'm not going to coach you through text messaging for $7. That's not going to happen. But I will point you in the right direction, and I'll give you some tools that you can do for $7. So we have that. If you still are on the fence and you want some freebie stuff, there's a link down below to our Facebook community. I got to tell you guys, I'm not a big fan of free, so I don't really put a lot in there, because if you can't invest $7 a month, and I don't know what you're even watching this for.
Yep.
And then we have the one-on-one and group coaching that you go to the website. We can talk more specifically about that we're going to get into. And this is where you're really going to start collapsing time, and where you're going to get one-on-one between Chase, myself, and some other coaches on whatever the deficiency you have is. We're going to try to get that knocked out inside 4 to 5 weeks, where that's no longer a problem, providing you do the work. And we found when people put up the money, they do the work.
They do.
And so all of this stuff is for you guys. All of this stuff is available to you. It depends on what you want. If you want the bronze, it's free. You're going to get what you pay for. If you want the silver is effing good for $7. It's going to go up a lot more. And then obviously if you want the gold, you got to pay a lot more, but you're going to get a lot more out of it. Yep. That's all I got on this one, guys. I hope you guys at least join the school platform. It's $7 for life if you get in by the end of this month. Next month,
we've got a ton more coming too. That's the thing too. Is like there's a ton of business content coming. I've got at least 3 business courses that I'm working on. I've got a course where I'm going to discuss and break down exactly how I made $1 million from my Facebook profile. And I'll show you exactly step by step how to do that, how to set all that stuff up. We have a whole system that you can insert into for that stuff too. And at the same time, if you want to sell that system that I sell on the back end too, I'll teach you how to sell it too. There's a ton of content coming. If you guys want to build up a YouTube channel and start monetizing it, that's all stuff that's coming into there too. So get in now. It's $7. It's only going to be going up. A lot of these courses we're going to take out of that program once the price goes up, and we're actually going to move that into just our coaching program.
Yep. Awesome. I appreciate you guys. We'll be back next Friday, same time, 5 o'clock Eastern. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, send us a message. If you have a video topic or an idea that you guys want us to discuss, send us a message. Would love to get that up on the live and talk about it. And if it's something that's a little bit personal, you can go to our website. We have a live chat box. It's a live person, guys. It's not like it's not an AI tool. It's a live person. So if you have something personal that maybe you want to talk about, you can send us a message. It might take us a little while to get back to you. You know, it could be the next day if you do it at 8 o'clock at night. I'm not going to freaking message you at 9 o'clock like a weirdo, but we'll get back to you and see if we can help you out with that. So we are here for you. We're not here just to grab your money. We're here to build a community. We're here to build trust in you guys, and we're here to give you way more value through our content and through our ideas than you'll ever give us in money. I guarantee you that.
That's the thing is, I remember when we first had these conversations a couple years ago, we were just this was a dream. We were just talking about this. This wasn't anything back then. And we came up with the brand. We put it all together. I remember going through these books and just getting so mad at myself, like just being so pissed off when I read No More Mr. Nice Guy, Unplugged Alpha. And I'm just like, dude, my whole life is a lie. Like it's all shambles. Like people have been lying to me my whole life. I grew up without a dad. I grew up with a single mom, all that kind of stuff. I grew up with teachers who were all women, and just like realized they fundamentally did me wrong, man. But then I got over it to a point, like I almost went full red pill for a minute there, and I kind of honed it back in, like, okay, no, women are not the enemy. Like this, it's just the way that I'm acting and what I do, and I have full control over it. As a man, that's the thing, is you got to understand where your control is and how women control things. And we've made videos on that just a couple weeks ago, actually. So if you guys go watch those frame videos, that's a great place to go after this video for sure. If you guys want any help, get into that community before the end of the month. The price is definitely going up, probably $100 a month. If you want to get $7 for life, now is your time. There's going to be nothing but content coming your way.
Yep. Have a good weekend, guys, and we will talk to you next Friday.